I'm sailing away. Set an open course for the Virgin Sea. Oh my god. Everything is so stupid. Hi, everybody. Welcome to MAGA versus Canada, Canada versus MAGA. Welcome. Hi, I'm Chesh. I am the host and creator of Debate Hub, so go check us out over there at Debate Hub Official. Find us on Blue Sky. What are we doing? What are we doing? 104% tariff on China? like happy Wednesday. I have 3 streams today, so I'm gonna be really loopy and tired by the end of this. But what? Donald Trump has been losing his goddamn mind, posting like an absolute maniac. Like, look, look at this. It's a great time to buy. Be cool. Everything's gonna work out. 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 17 minutes, 44 minutes. He's just spam posts. He's just doom posting. Everything will work out well. The USA will be bigger and better than ever before. Fixing trade and tariffs is a good thing. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase chairman. It is imperative that Republicans in the House pass the tax cut bill now. Our country will boom! 3 exclamation marks. Republicans, it will be more important now than ever that we pass the one big beautiful bill. USA will soar like never before. Make America great again. This is a great time to move your company to the United States of America, like Apple. Like, I'm. What? What are we talking about? This is not normal. This is a very unhinged behavior. What world leader does this? What world leader posts like this? Does America just not have standards anymore? Like, none? Like, I know you elected a felon, and I know you elected an adjudicated sexual assaulter, but like at least like pick a charismatic one. I don't I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know. Apple, whose assembly cost will go from $30 per phone to 300. Assuming that like America even had the facilities. Um, if you notice, I am, in fact, yes, wearing the exact same thing I was wearing yesterday. Um, and no, I haven't gotten changed. All I did was take this off and then put it back on, and take this off and put it back on. I slept in this. I'm gonna sleep in it again tonight. I'm just gonna steep. I'm just gonna steep in like my very goblin behavior right now. This is my coping mechanism. I don't. What is going? Okay, so okay, now that we've looked at what the unhinged chief of whatever the fuck, I have something I wanted to show you because I thought it was interesting. So this is Innovative Research Group. I saw this on Steve Boot's channel today, and I thought it was had something really interesting in it. So let me scroll down real quick. This is a this is polling for Canada. So I haven't covered a whole ton of polling because I mean I've been following it, but I haven't covered it very much because like I think it's like interesting, but I don't want to give people the wrong idea. You still need to go out and vote and all that good shit. But I wanted to point out something. I'm not gonna go through all of this. I just wanted to look at specifically. I made some. Holy. This one right here. So this is voting by region. So one thing that you need to understand about Canadian politics is that different provinces have a different number of seats. And so some provinces have more seats, and the number of seats you get decide whether or not your party gets to be prime minister, right? So the Liberal Party is Mark Carney, the Conservative Party is Poilievre, The NDP is Singh. I don't remember the names of the other people, and I'm sorry because I'm a bad person. But something that this poll did when they divvied up the region was they took the prairies and they took Alberta out. So a lot of the time when you see posts talking about like this is what's voting in the prairies, that's including Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. So in this case, they took Saskatchewan and Manitoba and put them together and took Alberta out. And so I think that's really, I just think that's really, really interesting. This was also like a really big data poll. So if you're interested, here's the link. I'll try to remember to put it in the description as well. If you wanted to take a look at like all of the rest of the information, it's all really, really interesting. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because we've talked about like the Danielle Smith wanting to do like, oh, if the Liberals win, we're going to hold a separatist referendum, right? We talked about that. And we've talked about the Conservatives having a really big stranglehold on the prairies. But if you look at these numbers, when you separate out Manitoba and Saskatchewan from Alberta, these numbers start to look a lot different. And I just think this is really interesting for one, and I think it's indicative of a lot of things. Remember how I keep saying that I don't think that a lot of Albertans actually want this? Or a lot of people in the West actually want this? Because people will keep saying that Carney's not polling well in the West. And the answer is not necessarily. You're seeing a swing in British Columbia, and a loss to the Conservatives there. Alberta still has a 51% for Conservatives, but 29% for the Liberals. That's a bigger number than the number of the separatist group. Remember when we looked at those numbers when I showed you the article? That is the number of people who would rather vote Liberal in Alberta outnumber the number of people who want the referendum based on these numbers. So I just think that's really interesting, and 29% is at 29 and 14% are a lot bigger, like especially when you put them together. Like this keep in mind that the NDP is left. Like they're supposed to be further left than the Liberal Party is. So you suddenly put that 14% on and put that 29% together, and you've got a far more equalized looking Alberta than I think people expect from Alberta. Right? People think Alberta and they go, oh, you're like very conservative. But like, no, because you're talking about what would that be? That'd be 29 plus 14, you got 30, 49, 12, 13. So that would be 13, 53. Am I wrong about that? Hold on, I'm bad at math. I have to do it. I have to actually talk it out because I don't see things in my head. I seem to have something called aphantasia. For anybody who wants to know, it means that I can't picture things in my head. So I actually have to like count out and like individually do each step of math because I can't group things in my brain that way. It just doesn't work for me. I'm going to double check my math though because I don't trust myself at all. Oh, 43. Not 53. 43. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yes, I skipped a 10. It's 43. I was on the right track, and then I added another 10 in there. Yeah, so it's a 43 to a 51. And then you can bump it if you really want to. You can bump another 2. I wouldn't put other. I would put other in conservative, but if you wanted to add the other 2 from the Green Party, you could. But that is a way more closely aligned left to right if you were to left to right it as opposed to party it, right? So I just think that's really, really interesting. The prairies also way closer. The left actually has a lead if, again, you break it down left to right, as opposed to just party to party. Because, again, if the NDP and the Green Party are both left, and the Liberals are left, and you add the NDP to the Green Party, because I'm not talking about seats right now, I'm talking about the attitude of the people who live there. Obviously, that wouldn't apply to seats. It's not like if the NDP win a seat, it counts for the Liberal Party. I don't want to confuse people. But if you're talking about just like the ideas and the vibes, like vibe checking, you're talking about another 37 plus 14% plus maybe another 1% versus the 46, 48, right? So like that, it's far more equal than the statistics might have you, than polling might have you believe, if you were to actually break this down into what people actually think or want. Oh my god, could I, like, fucking Christ, I can't do anything right now. My brain is made of mush. 37 plus 14, I'm double checking it. Yeah, 51. So actually the left, like the left in the prairies, so meaning Manitoba and Saskatchewan, actually have a higher percentage than conservatives. So I just thought this was really, really interesting and a really cool way to look at like a different bit of a breakdown. So yeah, it decided vote by region. Atlantic regions and Ontario hold the highest Liberal support. Alberta prairies are more likely to support Conservatives, which is true. So I just thought this was really interesting. So if you wanted to take a look at it and kind of interpret from the data all you like, there was one other poll that I saw that was interesting, but I don't think it's in here. I mean, this is kind of interesting, and then there's like firmness of voting. There's like all kinds of stuff in here if you want to go and check it out. I definitely recommend it. It's really cool. And they have a breakdown of like their statistics at the top, and they'll tell you like how many people they voted, like what was the breakdown, the math that they used, etc., etc. So it's like it's closer to a proper study, but it is in fact a poll. But I just thought it was really interesting, thought I would share, and thought I would give kind of like a bit of an idea of that even the places that have a strong conservative like grasp on the polls and in the seats, the actual people that live, it's not necessarily reflective of what the actual people who live there want and actually think. The polls look a little bit skewed in my opinion. But that's what polling is. That's what it's for. So again, not indicative. Go vote. Make sure you go, and because polls don't mean shit if you don't show up. So go get Pokemon, go to the polls or whatever the fuck. Next off, before we dive into this, something that I did want to point out, and this is also kind of in line with what I was just saying. Halifax, which is Nova Scotia, right? So that's East Coast now. Council votes overwhelmingly to discontinue using X platform. And so this is one of the things that I've been talking about for a little while. Oh, check page 9 of this. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go to page 9. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this one. Defining value clusters. Conservative and pay-as-you-go are more likely to say government should base decisions on affordability. The questions being, government should base decisions on ability to afford and public need. Is the main goal of the government to create equal opportunities to redistribute wealth? When it comes to government decision-making, rely on common sense, listen to experts, and the profit system brings out the worst in humans, teaches values of hard work and success. 0. These are funny. Rely on common sense, 100%. Listen to the experts, 90%. Where'd the other 10% go? Huh? This is it's a really cool thing. But councillors voted 6-1 in favor of removing X as a social media platform for the municipality. So I wanted to point out real quick. So something that I've been saying about one of the reasons it's really hard to get rid of Twitter, and for people to not be using Twitter, is because there's a lot of official Twitter accounts that, like, if there's a storm, if there's data, if there's like your local information or even your global information. Justin Trudeau for a long time doesn't have another social media platform, right? So that was where the only place you could get it. So finally, and I'm like, you're never going to get rid of Twitter if these official accounts don't start moving off of the platform, because people need access to those things. And so finally we're starting to see that move. And the fact that it's a 16-1, good God, fuck Elon Musk. Wonderful. I'm here for that. So this was as of April 8th, which was yesterday. Halifax regional councils voted nearly unanimously on Tuesday to stop using Elon Musk's owned social media platform X by July 15th and eventually transition to Blue Sky. The 6-1 vote comes after the staff report highlighted concerns about the platform formerly known as Twitter and following debate on its effectiveness as a communication tool. The move applies only to the 8 accounts overseen by the corporate communication staff on behalf of the municipality. Quote, let's not overstate the value of X. It wasn't so long ago the RCMP were under so much criticism around Portapic for just relying on X. So this is not our only information source. This is not our only information source, and it shouldn't be, said Councillor Sam Austin, referring to the communication failures related to the 2020 mass shooting. Austin, who no longer uses his personal X account, says that the platform has become too politicized. He said Musk, the unelected billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, who was appointed by U.S. President Donald Trump to run the recently created Department of Government Efficiency, is, quote, part of a government that means to harm us very openly. And I 100% agree with this. That's great. Good job, Halifax. You're ahead of the rest of us. We need to get on this and get this motherfucker out of our goddamn country. Fuck this man. So, besides that, excuse me, as I stretch real quick, there is one other thing that I want to go on to before we get into our conservatives here, and it is these 2 clips of Poilievre. So this was recently, I'm trying to remember where he was, Sault Ste. Marie. So Sault Ste. Marie, for anybody who doesn't know, it's in, like, mid-northern Ontario. So let's play this real quick.
Will do.
Thank you. Next question.
Craig Lord with the Canadian Press. I want to ask you about a global news report this morning detailing donations and support you've received from the overseas friends of the BJP, Narendra Modi's party in India. How comfortable are you?
So, for anybody who doesn't know, Poilievre has been taking money from India. It was confirmed via official investigation that India had interfered in Poilievre's election to the leader of the Conservative Party, and a lot of people speculate that this is why he won't get his security clearance.
You're receiving support from from friends of the BJP, given that members of that party are allegedly behind violence against Sikh separatists here in Canada.
Well, first of all, I received 37,000 separate donations that anybody can make online. We don't have the capacity to do CSIS background checks on every single person who makes those 37,000 donations.
So he doesn't answer the question. That's a dodge. The question was, are you concerned about this and what are you going to do? Now that you know, it's not why didn't you know? That wasn't the question. The question is, are you concerned? What are you going to do about it? And his answer is excuses. Excuses and deflection because he doesn't want to answer the question. Womp, 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 womp. Surprise, surprise, Pierre Poilievre fucking sucks.
We condemn 100% any foreign interference in Canada, and anyone who collaborates with it should be jailed. But the real question you should be asking is why haven't...
I want everybody to remember, put a pin in that Pierre Poilievre just said that anybody involved in foreign interference should be jailed. All right? Should be jailed. All right? Because, yeah. He apparently doesn't have the capacity to do a CSIS back check in himself. Yeah. Poilievre should be then in jail. This was just saying that he's comfortable with it as long as he has plausible deniability. Yeah, I mean, you guys are not wrong. All right, I just wanted to point this out quick. But now that he's done trying to dodge the question, Let's continue.
Should be jailed. But the real question you should be asking is, why haven't the Liberals got the foreign agent registry up and running? Because then we would know proactively who is.
But the Liberals, then we would know proactively. Motherfucker, the question is something we already know proactively. We proactively know that you're taking money from India. So what are you gonna do about it? And he's just like, no, the Liberals. Like, bro, if you already know, then what's the problem? What is the liberal? It's the Liberals' fault that you don't know who you're taking money from? And it's the Liberals' fault that now we know where this money is coming from, and it's still their fault? Yeah, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You know this makes you look incompetent, right? It means that the leader of the Conservative Party is not capable of doing anything without the say-so, within his own party, without the say-so of the Liberal government. How weak are you, motherfucker? Like, are you kidding me?
Working on behalf of a foreign government. And then parties could actually go through their lists of donations and find out if there is anybody who's been a bad actor. But they have.
We already know, though. That's the basis of the question. We already know. And so here's the other thing. Right? There's one other small thing. You remember the truckers? The ones that were backed by Russia? That he was hanging out with and saying he stood behind? Does that count as being involved with foreign interference? What about him boosting a handful of counts, like, for example, Tenant Media and Canadian associated groups and individuals and influencers? Because he did that too. What about with Jordan Peterson on the Daily Wire? Does that count? What about going to hang out with Joe Rogan? Does that count? What about Danielle Smith requesting interference by America? Should Danielle Smith be jailed? We know she did that. She said out loud she did that on Pierre's behalf. So, who should be going to jail again? Should Elon Musk be arrested if he goes to Canada? I mean, I would kind of be okay with that, but like, no? What are we talking about?
Haven't set that up, even though it was passed into law by Parliament. The other question that you should be asking is, why is Mark Carney accepting campaign support from the Chinese Communist government? You know, here he is. He was just in China a few months ago.
So it's okay for you to do it, but not okay for Mark Carney to do it? Because, like, how is Mark Carney... You're saying that, oh, well, we can't vet everybody. We don't have the capacity. And this thing isn't in place, so because of the Liberals. And so, therefore, Mark Carney should be able to do something that you're not able to do for these reasons? Why do those reasons not apply to Carney? Assuming this is even true, right? Like, I am not fact-checking this right now, like, because that would take me a lot of fucking time, and he's not gonna put the effort in, so why the fuck should I? Just based on what he's saying. Why is this applicable to one side, but not applicable to the other? Why are you saying it's okay for you to not know these things, but it's not okay for Carney to not know these things? By the same logic, by the same reasons. But the other problem is we know via an external investigation that this stuff about India's interference into Poilievre that's already been investigated. So we already know that that's the case.
Arranging a $250 million loan for his company, a company in which he still has millions of dollars of interest. And now we find that the government in Beijing is actively interfering to campaign on behalf of Mr. Carney. I note that the government in Beijing was...
Do we know that? What investigation has taken place within the last 20 minutes? Do we know that? Is that something we know?
Attacking his leadership rival, Chrystia Freeland, during the leadership race. And now they're pushing out propaganda to support his campaign again.
What propaganda? Where? What are you talking about? And this is the thing, it's all just throwing shade. It's just throwing shade. It's just throwing shade. And here's the thing. Carney preemptively already put his company in a blind trust. He has no idea if the money is related to China or not in any capacity. In any capacity. So if it's in a blind trust, and he's already complied with all the laws, what's the problem? He got his security clearance, motherfucker. So anything that would be a conflict of interest would have come up during his security clearance check. You know who we know that there's been an investigation of? Somebody we know who engages in foreign and local national propaganda? Poilievre. We know who doesn't have their security clearance? Poilievre. You know how long Poilievre has had the opportunity to get his security clearance? Years. Years! So how the fuck does this... Maybe. Yeah, hear me out. Maybe if Poilievre got his security clearance, he would know what interference is going on in Canada's fucking elections. He doesn't know. Because he doesn't have access to that information because he refuses to get his security clearance. So how can he possibly be aware of any accusations? How can Poilievre possibly make any accusations that we can, as Canadian people, trust or rely upon to have accurate information in them if we already know for a fact that he does not have that information because he refuses to give himself access to that information? He can't possibly know with any real amount of certainty. And his reasoning is that, well, then the Liberals get to control about what I'm allowed to say and what I am not allowed to say. That's not how the Security Council works. We have multiple levels of government, motherfucker. It's not how it works. It's not like the Liberals get to say this is classified, this isn't classified. That's not how it works. There's a reason there's consistency across conservative and liberal governments about who's in power, about what information is and is not out. So what are you talking about? You can't possibly know this. Even if you're right, you're pulling it out of your ass. You're right for all of the wrong reasons. He's not a leader. He's a very naughty boy.
He is conflicted. He continues to have financial interests in foreign...
His financials are in a blind trust. He does not know where his financials are. That's the whole point.
Hostile regimes in the hundreds of millions of dollars while he is Prime Minister of Canada. That is the real foreign interference that we should be worried about, and it is the foreign interference that I will end. After the lost Liberal decade, they have turned...
Oh, the lost Liberal decade. Motherfucker, you don't know any of this information because you won't get your security clearance.
This country into a playground.
Because then you won't be allowed to just say whatever the fuck you want. Because then you're actually gonna have some fucking information and then they're gonna be like, you can't say these things. And then he won't be able to just throw out all these wild fucking accusations because he's not allowed to fucking say this shit. Because that's what a security clearance is. Not that I would trust him not to fucking spew out bullshit. Maybe that's the real reason. Maybe the real reason isn't because there's actually any interference or he has any conflict of interest. It's actually because he knows that he doesn't know how to shut his fucking pie hole. So he knows that if he gets a security clearance and he's given any information, he's going to fucking say it out loud because he knows he's an idiot. And then he'll get in trouble and then he won't be able to be a leader anymore. Is PB jealous that Carney has more money than him? Yes, definitively. One of the funniest things about Pierre Poilievre is that he does this like chameleon thing where he imitates the person that he is like, that is the opposition. So when Justin Trudeau was prime minister, this is the best example of this, right? You'll notice that he very much parrots. We'll talk about this not next week, the week after. We'll talk about this a little bit more. But he parrots what the other person is saying, but a little bit beyond that. You want to see something really, really funny. Go back and look at how Pierre Poilievre was presenting himself while Justin Trudeau was in office. Just for men hair dye. And then when Carney came in with his old man white hair, he stopped using it and now he's got grays. And it's very, very, very funny.
Ground for foreign interference. And I will not allow that kind of thing to happen anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now
There's somebody trying to ask a follow-up question for him to actually answer the question.
take a call-in question from the phone line, and this will be the final question.
Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada.
Radio-Canada.
Sorry, I'm listening to the question.
Oui.
Sorry, there's just a
Bonjour, Mr.
protester
Poilievre.
here. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr.
Sorry.
Poilievre.
Sorry. Is there? We're listening. We're trying to listen for the.
So he didn't allow a follow-up question, and then this person is trying to ask about his involvement with foreign interference, and they're ignoring them.
The next person who was up asking a question, I think it's. Nous avons besoin d'une question en français.
Will do.
Thank you. Next question.
So follow-up real quick.
A conservative government would introduce a three strikes you're outlaw and jail offenders for 10 years without parole, bail, house arrest after convicted of a third serious crime. He then went on to.
So this person is talking about what's going on, and I wanted to play the first part of this because I thought it was really important to point out. The three strikes thing that they're talking about was something that was introduced by Harper during Harper's administration a decade ago, and it was thrown out by our Supreme Court because it's unconstitutional. So now you've got Poilievre presenting something that has already been deemed as unconstitutional, that is an old guard Harper law that he wants to put forward. Right? So they're like, that's it's actually insane. I wanted to point that part out, but I'm gonna let this guy finish because he's gonna talk about the question for a second.
To get asked questions about the current U.S. trade war and what his response would be to it. And you did hear some heckling there in the background at one point as somebody started yelling. Pierre Poilievre mentioned that it was a protester who was yelling out there, but obviously things got back on track and the press conference completed. So those are just.
I just want to say real quick, bold calling them a heckler, bold calling them a protester without any confirmation as to who that was, and bold to not address that Poilievre did not allow a follow-up question, and he's picking and choosing what questions are being allowed to be asked.
Just some of the things that stuck out to me as we've been watching live that press conference in Sault Ste. Marie. And Catherine Cullen is in Ottawa. She's been watching all of this as well. She's the host of the.
You know what? That's good enough. I figure that makes the point. Like, he's so awkward. He's so weird. He can't answer questions. He runs away from questions. He won't allow follow-ups. The three strikes policy is yeah, it was a bad policy to begin with. It doesn't make any sense. It's logistical nonsense. And it's already been deemed unconstitutional. So trying to bring it back is kind of cringe, bro. So there's like a few things that are really, really icky and bad about it. So, alas. Calling a media person a protester is awful authoritarian-ish. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So that's where we're at, and I figured I'd point that out that was going on. Meanwhile, Carney's talking about building. Carney's talking about doing things, like actually doing things, and being generally positive. So, where were we? We were on page 20, I believe, if I am not mistaken. Poilievre is a nightmare. Here we go. Yeah, F. Economic development. So, again, I just want to point out, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Believe them. Economic principles. The Conservative Party believes that it is the responsibility of government to create an economic climate in which Canadians can thrive and prosper, and with their success create quality job opportunities for Canadians. All right. Okay. We're again missing the difference and putting undue value on the businesses that create jobs as opposed to the actual people that work the jobs. In the principle of maximizing value-added processing in Canada, and that the government should create an economic environment that encourages Canadian businesses to export products rather than raw materials. That a dollar... What are you gonna build with uranium and potash? You just want to do all of the farming in Canada? Back to fascism for dummies. Yeah. Yeah. That a dollar in the hand of a Canadian citizen is better than a dollar in the hand of a government bureaucracy. Canadians should... I hate this. I'm so done. Canadians should be enjoying a higher standard of living and more competitive economic and greater productivity similar to our major trading partners. Okay, but America is in a shit show, and specifically the UK with Brexit is also in a shit show. I would argue that this current market is competitive and similar to our major trading partners. On the other hand, wealth inequality is not gonna be fixed by not having government social programs. Canada's competitive position in the world should never be impeded by a lack of ethics in Canada's government. What? Canada's competitive position in the world should never be impeded by a lack of ethics in Canada's government. What? What? I don't... Did my brain stop working? I don't understand. I also don't understand why there's semicolons after all of these. I'm pretty sure that just said Canada should never have a conservative government, right? Should never be impeded by a lack of ethics. What? I don't think that says anything. Like, I'm so distracted. Like, I'm so hung up on, like, trying to decipher what this means, or like, what any practical... I don't... Yeah, cutting taxes isn't gonna fix the wealth disparagement, and it's not gonna fix, like, do anything about homeless people. Like, that's, like, people who don't have houses. The way you deal with that is through social programs and through programs that make housing affordable, that which isn't cutting taxes. Like, that, not for, like, an individual. That's just like saying, we're gonna solve climate change because, everybody's gonna recycle bottles. Like, every individual is going to, like, turn their lights off at 9 p.m. Like, that's not gonna fix it, because the emissions are the problem, not the individual electricity usage. Uh... Never impede lack is a triple negative. Okay, thank you. I'm not crazy for being like, this doesn't fucking say anything. They're basically saying that if we're unethical, it shouldn't impede, like Canada should still be competitive on the global market. What, like, and I don't, like, that lower never impeded is a lack of a triple negative. Thus, it means that to improve Canada's or Canadian competitive position, one must have a lack of ethics. Right? Like, we need to be... Canada needs to use less ethics so we can do better on the global stage. I mean, that seems to not be playing out that way at all. The lower tax... that lower tax and reduced government interference in the economy will result in more purchasing power in the hands of the people of Canada, which leads to a more competitive economy, greater productivity, more quality job opportunities, and higher standards of living. No. No, it doesn't. Definitively, no, it does not. Not, you would have to cut taxes so much. And so... why am I bothering? What am I doing? What are we, why are we here? What are we talking about? What's going on? This is causing me physical pain. Okay, alright. Alright. Listen, if you were to cut taxes so much so that somebody could afford a house, right? That means that house would have no road. That means that house wouldn't have, like, water or electricity infrastructure to get there. Because although the taxes aren't used to build those houses, the taxes are used to make those houses accessible. So even if you cut everybody's taxes, how much money, if you didn't pay tax, if you look at your fucking money right now, how much more money per year would you make if you didn't pay any taxes? $200 a paycheck? Sorry, max $2,000 a paycheck? Maximum? But if that's not even going to be that much. Because if we're talking about that, if you were to remove taxes from anybody making $30,000 a year, you're going to maybe bump them up another 10 grand to put them at 40. That's still not going to be enough to buy a house. And now they don't have roads, and they don't have electricity, and they don't have healthcare, and they don't have dental, and they don't have... So all of that money that they're saving, or that they're not giving to taxes, has to go into their just general area of snowplows, of healthcare, of insurance. So even if you were to do this, it's going to cost those people more than what they're spending. I feel like I am explaining something that everybody should know. Like, have you ever looked at how much it costs to fix a burst water main? It's a lot of money. And it's an emergency and it has to be done right away. So the people who are doing it get paid more because that shit happens in the middle of the night and all the time in winter. How expensive do you think it is to repave a road that's gone to shit because it hasn't been repaved in 5 years? So it right now costs you a percentage of your tax, of your income tax. You will never make enough money if you were to even cut 100% of taxes for you to replace that water main and buy a house and afford privatized healthcare and afford insurance for some of that privatized healthcare and afford your car and afford your car insurance and afford your phone and afford your bills, your water bill, your electricity bill, and afford to repair or install any infrastructure to your new house, like that. Like, there's no way you would be able to afford it. What about your kids' schooling? You're not gonna be able to pay for the school. You're not gonna be able to pay for the local library. You're not gonna there's not gonna be any like parks or recreation areas that are maintained. You're not gonna like. How do you think you get fucking traffic lights? Those take electricity. They have to be installed. They have to be maintained. They have to be fixed. Like, this is insane. It is I'm not trying to be rhetorical. I'm not trying to be like hyperbolic when I say like this is stupid. This is You will never, ever, ever, ever make enough money at even a mid-level job to afford the infrastructure of a subdivision as an individual. Never. Not even once. Do you It's just math. This is basic arithmetic. This isn't even like, oh, I'm talking about complicated economics, because obviously this shit gets more complicated when you start talking about like, so not only do you have to maintain the infrastructure that's already there, but if you ever need to build new infrastructure, you're talking about having to buy your own backhoe, buy your own equipment, hire the people to do it, then build and make and construct or pay for the construction of all the wiring and the piping and the installation and the paving over top. Like that, I don't understand how any singular person could be so stupid and so ignorant to think that a $500 tax cut, like $500 a month tax cut, is going to be equivalent to you being able to afford healthcare, or you being able to have decent infrastructure where you live, or you being able to afford to pave the road outside of your house. Yeah, like it's beyond ignorant. It's beyond like any kind of reasonable conversation. Nobody actually thinks these things. But the problem is people who believe that these tax cuts are good for them have not thought this through.
I disagree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it. By the way, I hate it. I think it's dumb, and I hate it. And I think...
It's dumb and I hate it. That was the wrong button. Like, if anybody is going out and talking to conservative people in Canada, or talking to anybody who, like, look at what's happened. Look at municipalities going bankrupt. That's what is going to happen. That's what is happening in Alberta because of conservative fucking shit like this. That doesn't work. This isn't fine. This is not fiscal responsibility. This is fiscal greed. This is not responsible. This is not reasonable. It doesn't even, like, make any fucking sense. So, like, please, I implore you, if you know conservative people in your life, these are the fucking things you need to talk about. I haven't even gone a whole page yet. I've been here for a half an hour. To be fair, I was covering other stuff, but I feel, why? What's the point? What's the point in talking about any more of this? We've already gotten constitutional violations. We've already gotten violations against women. We've already talked about taking power away from and giving more power to provinces on things that they've already voted on, which is why it became federal law in the first place. We've talked about, like, kids getting fucking popsicles taken away from them because Danielle Smith is a fucking abject moron. We can see the way this plays out because it's happening in Alberta. And we are even seeing, like, Alberta list lazily. Where did it go? List lazily to the left. Like, what's the point? We've only covered, like, we're on the part 40. We're not halfway through. And why? I didn't even talk about, like, fire hydrants. I didn't even talk about having fire trucks and their maintenance and hiring and training the fire force. I haven't talked about the police. I haven't talked about ambulances. I've only talked about, like, hospitals and like getting prescriptions and, like, we haven't even talked about, like, abortion accessibility and accessibility to, like, things like condoms and infrastructure in place for, like, women to not have to pay extra money for pads and shit all the time. Like, what's the point? Everything in here is about tax cuts anyway. And, like, there's no possible way you're gonna make up that gap. The tax cut that you take is in no way going to make up for the wage gap. Not only is it not going to make if you were to remove 100% of your taxes, 100% of your tax, here, have a link. It's in the link to this is in the description as well. But yeah, I'll pin it for you. It's at the it is now at the top of the live chat. You can't do this. The math doesn't work. If you cut listen, I'm stuck on this. I'm not going anywhere. If you cut 100% of your taxes, you person who does not currently own a house, if you were to, you have no taxes on any bills that you're paying, you have no taxes on any income that you're making, you're not paying any taxes on anything you're buying. If you remove 100% of your taxes, it would not be enough money to buy you a house and get you into that space. This is disregarding now all the additional payments you're going to incur from insurance, from healthcare, from an infrastructure that you're going to have to pay for now yourself, let alone if you want to buy a house that has infrastructure put into its roads, which now you're going to have to pay part of. This will not work. The math is not there. This is, again, alone, just buying a house. This is not including any other thing. Lowest income bracket already functionally doesn't pay taxes. Right! So a tax cut, if you're going to that's the next step of the conversation, Alex. You're 100% correct. The lower you are in the tax bracket, the less taxes you're paying. So these plans of tax cuts from the Conservatives disproportionately give more money to people who already don't need it and are already not paying into the taxes in the first place, which is disproportionate and making the rest of us suffer. So, if you're in the lowest tax bracket, you're going to get $20 back a month. Congratulations. Good for you. Is an extra $20 a month going to mean you can afford a house? No? Well, then how does this help you? Why would you vote for this? It does nothing. It does functionally nothing for you, as opposed to actually making housing more affordable, because the tax cut isn't what's going to make housing affordable. You need government interference. Remember, lower taxes and reduced government interference in the economy. Reduced government interference in the economy means less regulations on what can be built, where it can be built, how much it costs, how much your mortgage can be, the rate of loans, and how much what's the word? Interest you can occur, what those interest percentages are, whether or not your rent can be increased, and at what rate and how much and when it can be increased. That would be less government regulation. That is reduced government interference in the economy. Motherfucker. Both of these things combined, fuck you in particular. That, I understand that conservatives in my comment section have been like, you use bad language. Grow up. Grow some skin, you fucking snowflake. This will fuck you up. This will fuck you over. I'm not gonna mince words with you about this. You are fucked. Completely fucked. Royally fucked. Fucked up beyond all recognition. You are screwed. You get nothing. You lose. Right there, black and white. You're signing on to this. And I know we've talked about the other things in this. I know we've talked about how this will negatively affect other groups of people. But conservatives don't care about other groups of people. Conservatives don't give a shit about the people around them. They don't give a fuck. They care about how it affects them. Or how they think it's going to affect them. And what they need to understand is this fucks you. You are screwed. You are boned. You will not be recognized. This is rich people bukkake all over your face. Look it up. You don't know what the bukkake is? Look it up. Google it. Have fun. Imagine being a conservative and crying about mean words. What betas? Yeah. Boned. Absolutely boned.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Why would you ever fucking vote for this? Please, I beg of you. I beg of you, please. If there is nothing that you consider in this, please learn and understand how your taxes work and what government regulation actually does. You are screwed. All right, have I worn this out yet? Do you get it? Do you understand how screwed you are? And how, like, this snowballs? And how this is, like, fucking real bad and gets worse and worse and worse the more you add to it? Because, again, this is a compounding problem. This is the most American thing that I bought because this is the only one that exists in Ontario. There is no ginger ale available in Ontario that is not made in America or owned by an American company, and it gives me depression. They bottle it in Canada. Yahoo. I almost went without it, and then I was like, no. Not this one. Jack for Two said 100%. Also, bring that spice and support this goblin. Oh, thank you very much. We need 4 more to do the spice. I feel like I might be spicy enough today, though, to be honest. No, there's no ginger ales. Hopefully once the provinces open up their trade, I'll get a little bit more. Yeah, see, David's got some out east. There's some that exist out west too, just not in Ontario. I'll look forward to trying some when they finish opening up the borders. The trading borders between the provinces. What did I just say? What did I just say? Reduce government interference in the economy. And then I went up and said that, oh, but Chesh, that doesn't say government regulation. That doesn't mean anything about regulation. That only says interference in the economy. And then the literal next one, that the government adopts an aggressive regulatory reform process designed to eliminate red tape. So any of you dumb motherfuckers who are like, oh, that doesn't say getting rid of regulation, and then this says aggressively remove regulations. Fuck you. You thought you had a point. You thought you had a gotcha on me. Wrong. Read. Black and white. Clear as day. You lose. Why didn't I try to liberate the ginger ale? Because I'm not the one who went to the store to get it. It's not one of my roommates. Besides, I wouldn't steal from a Canadian store. No, I looked for Sussex. I couldn't find it. It wasn't here, no. That was one of the ones that I looked at. That the government of Canada takes action to accelerate Canada's productivity growth rate by increase in human capital through better secondary, post-secondary, and job-related education, as well as more efficient immigration of skilled workers, and encouraging efficiency and innovation in small and medium-sized enterprises through greater R&D, capital investment, and organizational sophistication. So nothing, nothing, and nothing. That is nothing. That's meaningless. Industrial development. The Conservative Party favors eliminating subsidies to for-profit businesses to the greatest extent possible. You just said you wanted to invest more in medium-sized enterprises and small enterprises. Those are for-profit subsidies for businesses. I want to die. Hope for Snoopy says, I promise you I'm paying attention. Even lifelong conservatives can learn this stuff. Bring on the spice for $6.99. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I do. I appreciate that there are conservatives willing to listen. I I want to die. Like, guys, we want to do this, except, by the way, we're going to cut all the subsidies. Well, then how are you going to encourage efficiency and innovation in small and medium business-sized enterprises through greater R&D and capital investment? You say you want to do this, and then immediately you're like, we want to eliminate all of subsidies for not-for-profit to the greatest extent possible. So, like, they want to get rid of all of it if they can. Like, it's literally the next fucking sentence. I swear to God, the Conservative Party thinks conservative voters are fucking stupid. They think you're stupid, and they think you can't read. And they think that you will never see this. They think that you are never going to put the work in because you just trust them because they locked you in a long time ago. You should prove them wrong. You should prove them wrong. Because they're wrong. You are smart. You can read. You know what this shit means. All you need to do is, like, take the blue colored glasses off for a second and take a look at this. I believe in you. You can do this. You're not stupid. This includes eliminating corporate welfare, bailouts, grants. Do you hear me? The word grants. Grants. Do you know what a grant is? Do you know what grants are for? Studying. Grants are for learning. Grants are for fucking, like, infrastructure building. Grants are for students. So remember increasing human capital through better secondary and post-secondary job-related education? Those are grants. Those are paid for by grants. So how are you going to pay? How are you going to pay for people to get better education and making education affordable if you're going to remove the grants that you give to people to educate themselves? By giving them a tax cut? Based on what? What are you cutting taxes for? We're talking about people who are going into post-secondary. People who are going into post-secondary are likely, like, they don't have a house, so you're not cutting their property tax. They may or may not have a car. So let's assume for a second that they're not working yet. They're coming fresh out of high school. They don't have a part-time job. They're going into school. Or they're like, hey, listen, I had a part-time job in high school, saved up some money, I want to go to school. But they want to go to school somewhere, and they have to switch their job. They don't have a job. So you're not taxing their income. So if you're not taxing their income, and you're not taxing their property, what are you taxing? The fuck tax cut are you going to give them? I hate you. How are you going to get... You're taking away their grants. You can't... There are no taxes to cut. Grants are literally the thing that stimulate regular people to be able to afford to get into new ventures and starting new businesses. Yeah! That's what grants are for. So you're going to cut grants. And government investment in for-profit businesses. That's small business. That's small business. That's the small business. That's scientific endeavors. So things like fucking research and development. That's R&D. Remember research and development, greater R&D, grants, and government investment is the things that universities get for developing things like vaccines or developing things like self-repairing concrete. Things that, like, develop fucking computer advancement, energy investment, switching from getting people to buy solar panels is a government grant and a subsidy and an investment. It is literally the one right before it. We want to do all these things, but we're gonna cut it all. Those grants has helped my community build new seniors housing. Yes, yes, thank you. Seniors housing, 100%. This is the I don't popsicles for kids. What I don't fucking it's outrageous. It's insane. This is stupid. Am I triggered? Probably. This is probably me being triggered. And like, yeah. Am I wrong? The government should not provide corporate welfare to large corporations and pick winners and losers. No, it is literally the government's job to pay for some fucking things. Yes, it is. We believe it will be possible not to, yeah, by the way, I do think it's also within the government's right to not allow certain businesses to operate in their country if they don't want them there. So, like, for example, Tesla, get the fuck out. Mostly because their cars are shit and they don't work anyway and are liable to just kind of explode and hit people. Because their cameras don't recognize kids. Kids are particularly at risk around Teslas. So, based on rules and regulations that they want to remove that keep, you know, your food healthy and don't do fracking. We believe it will be possible not only to reduce but eventually to eliminate subsidies for nonprofit businesses by focusing on improving overall economic growth through facilitating competition, improving productivity, streamlining regulation. How are you gonna... Streamlining regulation and fostering innovation in concert with free and fair trade agreements. We believe... Okay, I mean, it's nice that you believe that, but fuck off. We believe the government should work with international organizations and individual nations to reduce protectionist policies to secure free trade. What the fuck is a protectionist policy? What are you talking about? What is that? I don't know what that is. That sounds like a buzzword. That sounds like a dog whistle. That sounds like a dog whistle for anti-environmental shit. Hold on. Protectionism examples and types of trade protections. Hold on. Refers to government policies that restrict international trade to help domestic of course. Protectionism refers to government policies that restrict international trade to help domestic industries. Protectionist policies are usually implemented with the goal of improving economic activity within domestic economy, but can also be implemented for safety and quality concerns. Safety and quality concerns. You know how America, they were recently complaining that, they're not gonna buy our big, beautiful beef. They don't buy our beef in the UK. It's because it doesn't reach the quality level. There's a reason why Kellogg's Fruit Loops have different ingredients on the Canadian box than they do in the American box. Because you're not allowed to use that fucking red poison in Canada. So you have to, if you want to sell shit in Canada, you have to meet their regulations. Hey, do you guys want lead paint in your toys, in your children's toys, in your Kinder eggs? This is how you get lead in your paint. Our goal in negotiations should be to secure agreements that benefit Canadian manufacturers by allowing them to compete and succeed through competition on a level playing field. Yeah, equity is what you mean. No, it's not. They mean level playing field, which is inherently, if you were to flatten the playing field, some people are taller than others, so it's not actually a level playing field. Where there is injurious harm. Did they run this through a fucking thesaurus generator to, like, what are you talking about, injurious harm? It's already harm. Why did you put the word injurious in here? This is all over the place in this fucking document. They're just fucking words. They just threw random word salad in here to make it harder to read and make it longer so that their constituents wouldn't read it. Where there is injurious harm caused by a trade action, and we have a reasonable chance of winning and or reserving this action, we should support an industry on a temporary basis until the trade action is resolved. We support amending the Investment Canada Act to expand the review process to include not only the net benefit to Canada in reference to our industrial, economic, and cultural policies, but also a consideration of our national security interests. You are not allowed to talk about fucking national security. The Conservatives, including the voters, people who are voting Conservative, are not allowed to talk to me about national security. You can come and talk to me when your fucking leader of your party has his fucking security clearance. Then you can talk to me about national security. So don't talk to me about foreign interference. Don't talk to me about Carney's foreign this, that, or the other thing, because you don't know. You don't know because you don't have your fucking security clearance. So until you fucking get your goddamn fucking security clearance, do not talk to me about national security. Don't talk to me about foreign policy. Don't talk to me about foreign trade or what you're gonna do about it. It's worthless. It means nothing. Do not talk to me about foreign investment. Do not talk to me about geopolitics. Do not talk to me about anything related to international fucking anything. Which means you can't talk to me about fucking regulations for food. You can't talk to me about regulations for trade. You can't talk to me about fucking climate change shit. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. Don't talk to me about cutting aid or foreign affairs and being like, we don't want to spend money in Ukraine. You don't know. You don't know if it would be beneficial or not to give money to Ukraine. You don't know. And the reason you don't know is because you don't have your fucking security clearance. You have no fucking clue. You don't know what you're talking about because you don't have the fucking information. Period. End of sentence. You do not know if it would be beneficial or not. At best, until your leader has his fucking security clearance, I don't fucking care what you fucking think about foreign affairs. Because your leader doesn't have a security clearance and you don't fucking care. So if you don't care, then you don't get a say. You're gonna pull it out of your ass? Because I'm just gonna assume you're pulling it out of your ass. Because that's the only place you can be pulling it from. Because you don't have your fucking security clearance. So shut the fuck up. Not a fuck given. Not one. Don't give a shit. Cereal health regulations. Ayo. Fruit Loops is a really good example. We support amending the Investment Canada Act to expand the review process to include not only the net benefit to Canada in reference to our industrial, economic, and cultural policies, but also a consideration of our national security. Shut the fuck up. This would include security of supply, technology transfer, and any antitrust implications. Shut the fuck up. You don't get a say. You don't get a fucking say. You don't fucking get a say. We support the privatization of crown corporations that compete directly with comparable service from existing private sector institutions. So they want to get rid of any fucking... So, like, that's, like, a lot of that is healthcare. A lot of that is healthcare. So, or insurance. That's what that is. Science and research development. If you thought I was mad before. The Conservative Party supports the establishment of a single authority or single window to review big science projects according to published guidelines. You know, when you do quality assurance... hold on, hold on. You need me for a second. Hi, bring it in. When you do quality assurance to make sure that there's no, fraud or waste or abuses to something, you generally have more than one review. More than one point do you check the quality of something. So that way you know, and it's easier for you to find out where something went wrong in the line. Right? So, like, say you have a multi-step, a big project, right? And that project includes steps, which most large projects do. You have, like, your surveying, you have your soil testing, you have your construction planning, and floor planning. Then you have your getting your resources together and getting quotes together, and then you start buying materials and you go out and find your contractors. Like, there's steps, right? There's steps. And quality will generally review what's going on at multiple points at the end of every one of these steps, and sometimes do spot checking, like, in between the middle. So that way, if there's a problem with a contractor, you know right away, and you likely are going to have an easier time finding out which contractor it was, because you're reviewing all the contractors when you have the list of contractors. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm getting at? So if a contractor is fucking with you, you know which one it is, and you haven't gotten too far in your project. So you haven't been totally royally boned, right? So if you make all of the review happen at the same time through one thing, and you create a funnel, and you create a congestion of where there's suddenly a lot of work that needs to go through this. Think of it like traffic. You know, when, like, there's you're driving down the highway, and then there's like this big funneling problem where, like, a bunch of highways converge and there's a bunch of merging lanes, and then suddenly traffic grinds to a fucking halt because you've created this fucking really narrow spot. You've created this funnel, right? And then traffic on the other side of the funnel takes off. That's fine. You've created this bunch of fucking... It's that. So you're putting a massive amount of pressure and a high level of, like, accuracy necessary in this one spot, right? And then that one spot is also responsible for finding the error in a larger stack of information, but the projects are further along by the time they get checked, and then you have to retroactively go back and find out where things went wrong in the project. So if I'm, instead of double checking at the survey, double checking at the soil, double checking at the contractors, double checking at the resources when you're acquiring the resources, checking at the doing a quality check at the part where you're doing your fucking quotations and your amount of your accounting, right? Instead of doing all that at all these steps, you're doing all of it at once after the project. So now you're telling me you've got a leaky house. Great. You've got an entire subdivision. That entire subdivision is leaking. What happened? You don't know. Was it shoddy materials? Did somebody do a job that they didn't mean to? Did somebody charge you extra for something they didn't do? Was there an error? Are the houses are now all sagging? What happened? Why are they sagging? Why are the basements uneven? You don't know. Now you have to go back and try to figure it out, and there's a decent chance you won't be able to. And now you have to demo it and do it all over again. And then if you don't check it along the way again, something else goes wrong. And now you have to demo it and do it again. This is the most inefficient. If you want to talk about government spending and you want to talk about efficiency, doing your review through a single window process is the least fucking efficient, greatest chance of fraud, greatest waste of time and resources that will fucking chokehold. It will create a choke of shit that needs to get done, thus creating traffic and a backlog of projects that will not be being completed. The houses will be built, and they'll be there, but you won't be allowed to move into them because they're not done the review process because you've got 6 people trying to review fucking everything all at fucking once. This is the least efficient thing you could ever fucking possibly do. This is a waste of money. This is a waste of resources. You're gonna have to do the work over and over and over again, and then you're just gonna have shit sitting there going nowhere fast, and still nobody's allowed to live in a house. Every time I do one of these, I get through less and less of the document because I'm too busy talking about how this much a con. This is like the more you read, the worse it gets because it's compounding. All of the problems that we talked about are also now on top of the current thing we're looking at. So you have to keep that in mind. These projects are often tied up in bureaucracy because under this current system, they are forced to seek funding from a myriad of departments and agencies. So you just want to dump all of the money into one spot that is poorly researched and poorly manned and poorly relegated. A single window approach would be more transparent. No, it definitively would not be more transparent because having to go to multiple departments means that it's clear what they're doing, right? So if they're like, hey, listen, we need to build a house, so we need to get the Department of Agriculture, we need to get the Department of Energy, and we need to get the Department of, like, Infrastructure on board. So you've got a review process for each one, right? That's transparent. If you just say, hey, we're doing a thing, give us money, and they say, yes, no, they is now everything. They is now your housing, they is now your environmental, they is now your pharmaceuticals, they is now your infrastructure, your roadways, they is now your radio station, the CRTC, right? You don't know. You don't know what thing they're asking for as an outsider. And the other problem is like now that you've been approved, it might be harder to get approval because now you need to be in compliance with all of the things instead of in compliance with only the things you need to be in compliance for. Now you're getting reviewed for pharmaceuticals and you're building a house. And you're just like, why do I need approval about this pharmaceutical paperwork? Why am I filling out this pharmaceutical paperwork? It's not applicable, not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. But it still all has to be reviewed. Now you've got more bureaucracy. You've got more paperwork. It's going to take longer because everything needs to be reviewed for every single department. Yeah, what if the window fails? Yeah, what if the window fails? Then what? Now nothing's happening. Or everything is happening. Everything's getting approved. all willy-nilly with like zero knowledge of like what, like. Less bureaucracy. All right, listen. Hey, conservatives. Hey. Less bureaucracy does not equate to more efficiency. I'm going to say it again. Less bureaucracy does not automatically equal more efficient. I don't like bureaucracy. I'm not a fan. My keys are downstairs. I didn't bring the jangle keys. More bureaucracy does not equal more efficiency or less efficiency. Less bureaucracy does not equal more efficiency or less efficiency. It's based on something called context. The context of what you're trying to do and how your bureaucracy is laid out may be more or less. Things can always be adjusted, things can always be reviewed and tweaked, but removing entire processes does not guarantee a specific outcome, and in fact, a lot of the time will have unintended consequences based on that blanket chainsaw-styled disregard and reckless disregard for whatever it is you're actually trying to accomplish. Please, stop this madness. This document is a blight on Canadian history. Correlation does not equal causation, yeah. For the research community and more accountable to Canadian taxpayers. That's right, we're talking about science, research, and development. I'm really tired today. We support this document is causing me pain. We support the creation of an independent chief scientist who would advise and report to Parliament on scientific matters. You know, not all science is the same. And not all scientists are experts in every field of science. And not all scientists are sorry, this thing makes me want to vomit. Not all scientists are good communicators. So if you're gonna create a that sounds like more bureaucracy. It kind of is. Because that chief scientist is going to have a team of scientists that are all hired by the government to review any research documentation, or any applications for grants or for money, for taxpayer money that is being utilized for, like, that. They just want to hire somebody because they said chief scientist. They didn't say that the person had to be a scientist. They're just going to call the position independent chief scientist. And then they're going to put in whoever the fuck they want. And then when you put in whoever the fuck you want, you're just going to put in whoever you think agrees with whatever policies you want to put forward. It doesn't mean anything. And help coordinate science policy issues within the government. There's a And internationally. Okay. No, you don't get to talk to me about international anything. You don't get to talk to me about international anything. You don't have your security clearance. Shut up. This office would be modeled on the Parliamentary Office of Science and Technology in the United Kingdom. The chief scientist would be mandated by Parliament to provide independent and balanced analysis of the public policy issues related to science and technology. This information should be provided openly to parliaments and Canadians to enable informed decisions. We already do this. Like, if you want to know about any research papers or anything that's going on, I mean, making them more available to everybody and more accessible, sure, but that's not what this is. Top science guy. Canadians had actor in a lab coat. Yeah, right? We support the funding of innovation, technology, and research through the Granting Council. So they want to get rid of grants, but they agree with this, allegedly. We support a competitive peer review process. Okay, great, thanks. And enhanced transparency and accountability to determine who shall receive grants through these councils. The grants that they're going to get rid of. They approve of the grants that they want to remove, I guess. We recognize the importance of private sector investment in research and development of commercial applications. We recognize that the scientific research and experimental development, or SR&ED tax should work with tax credit, has been successful in spurring private investment in research and development. The government should work with stakeholders in all fields of research and various industry sectors to expand its tax credit. We support the elimination of the capital tax and you just said... Sounds like this is to throw up hurdles in an attempt to frustrate science and advancement, probably because education doesn't favor the conservatives. You think? Landon says agreed. Just because one may be smart does not mean one is correct. Just because someone may have advanced knowledge of some field does not mean they are some form of universal expert. Smitty says, my expertise in spaghetti does not qualify me as an expert in making lasagna. That's why you don't hire a smart brain person. You hire a smooth brain person you can blame when something goes wrong. David is right. That's all this is. This is smooth brain. You have a small brain, a smooth brain, no rivers or lumps, nor valleys or bumps. We support the elimination of the capital tax and the reduction of the capital gains tax because the effectiveness of the SR&ED tax credit relies upon a general level of tax on capital and investment. In principle, we believe the government should provide more scientific research and experimental development tax incentives. Foreign ownership restrictions. You don't get to talk to me about foreign ownership restrictions. You don't have your security clearance. The Conservative Party supports relaxing foreign ownership rules on Canadian industries. What? Did you not? You just said you wanted to encourage more domestic shit. They're coming to take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho yee, haha, to the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and then they're coming to take me away. Oh, yee. God, fucking shit, dude. The Conservative Party supports relaxing foreign ownership rules on Canadian industries in concert with our major trading partners in the telecommunication, broadcast distribution, and airline industries. We believe the government should conduct an immediate review to determine whether to reduce or completely remove these rules. Brick. 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 The only response is a brick. 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 To the head. In the face. Brick. Mine. Brick. Brick. Hut. This is so laughably corrupt. Like, this is like mustache twirling laughably. We're gonna tie women to the railway track and make money. Hee 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 hee, and run away with like a little, like the fucking top hat monocle, evil twirly mustache, and a fucking bag, a sack that's got a dollar bill sign on it. Who is gonna pay for the brain damage that I am enduring? Is that gonna come out of taxpayers' money, or is that gonna come out of, like, fucking the funding that Pierre Poilievre is getting from Modi? Don't check Blue Sky. Okay, I won't. I'm It's interesting to me that a lot of conservatives equate the housing crisis to too many immigrants moving in, right? We've seen Poilievre make that statement that Canada took in more immigrants than our housing market could deal with, which is not true, but let's take that at face value, right? Let's say that's the truth. We got too many foreigners. Okay, then why is the conservative government wanting more foreign things that give them money? Tom is right. No, Chesh, you don't have a claim. You should have reasonably concluded that reading this garbage would negatively affect your sanity. You're right. You're right. I can't argue that. Yeah, you're right. I looked at the next paragraph. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm out. But I read 2 pages. I read 2 pages today. I could only handle 2 pages. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. Oh, please tell me, like, the end of this, like, half of the rest of the pages are, like, citations and I don't have to read them. Please? 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 I'm sorry, was that Q&A part? Oh, no, that's just the letter Q. It's not. Oh, no, there's, like, no citations or reference in this at all. They're just fucking saying shit. I'm leaving. Yeah, it's time for Mert. I'm gonna get out of here. I can't. I'm sorry that I didn't get through very much of this today, and I repeated myself a lot, and I just said the same thing 7 times for a half an hour. I'm sorry. I feel obligated to do that. Ugh. No respite, only pain. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go play a video game on Twitch. I'll be back with more of this. Probably not tomorrow, but on Friday. Tomorrow, Chris Shelton is coming on to Debate Hub, so join us over there to talk about Trumpism. Later today, I'm going to be live talking about how evil marketing is. And then Dapper is going to be live at 7 tomorrow as well, talking about he's doing a membership drive. So join us over there. I'm going to get out of here. I have to go. I have to leave. I have 3 streams today. If I do this again tomorrow, I'm going to have another 3 streams. And I am very tired. So I'm leaving. Goodbye. Good fucking God, this document is so fucking bad, man.
I disagree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it.